Hi, good morning, and welcome to the ZP vlog and podcast. So we like to do this every Sunday at about 8 a.m., though we're approximately 1 hour late, but it's really just a wrap up from the news from ZP for this week. So obviously, there's always a lot of activity at ZP, in terms of technical and commercial. So we just want to kind of make sure that we stay on top of this, and for those who are interested, we also kind of want to give you a quick summary as well. So something that happens every week is that we do a developer zone every week. So we actually do two. So this week we've actually done two, which is if people have technical questions, then we sort of tend to do a webinar and we answer the questions and we kind of um, put in a lot of detail, a lot of slides, and sort of illustrate those questions. So if an email comes into us, and most of our emails are actually quite technical, then it's not enough to just write a text reply. So we find the webinar format works really well for us. So we did do a webinar, a couple of live streaming webinars this week around that. Something that we do support a lot of is something called Food Sense. Now, Food Sense is our kind of we now describe it as our Food Sense Generation 4 product, because this has really been a sort of long time um, product for us. And in fact, I just had an email this morning where somebody was asking, well, when's Food Sense Generation 5 coming? I suppose I think about the Samsung smartphone, and I think they're on like I want to say generation, um, I don't say it's not 4, it's not 24. I think they actually skipped from 14, but yeah, you're right. There will be new generations of this. But it's also a sort of commitment from us that, in fact, this is not a dead end product in terms of, we are genuinely going forward with this all the time. The questions that came in this week was actually around about, you know, most people can distinguish a Scoville heat unit of 200. So what that means that, if you gave them a product that had a sort of pungency or hotness, I should say hotness really, of um, 2000 Scoville heat units, they could determine that it was 2200 or determine if it was 2400. But I generally don't think that's actually the case, because I use the example of Tabasco, which actually has, when they ship it with a range of about 2000 to 5000 Scoville heat units. And then I went online looking for people complaining that Tabasco wasn't, reproducible, or it was different hotnesses on different occasions. And I found very little, in fact, I found nothing. Those kind of complaints doesn't mean that there aren't people out there complaining, but I certainly couldn't find anything in the public domain. And I kind of used that as my argument as to actually there isn't a capability in most people of actually determining 200, because most people can't even determine 3000. So no disrespect to those people, I'm a consumer of Tabasco sauce, sort of for over 20 years, and I think I've never noticed actually differences. But now that we've got this analytical system called Food Sense Generation 4, I can see the capsaicin differences. I just can't distinguish them. So I don't think the sensitivity of most people is 200. It's actually more like it's more than 3000 people can't really determine actually. So people are not that sensitive to it. So we were asked a question, we gave an opinion, and to be fair, we gave an anecdotal data set as well. And I did look online for people, and no, people really can't determine the difference. We did every week, or not every, so every month. We also support a technology platform that we call Sense It All. So we do these live streaming demos when we do Sense It All. We're actually the engineer comes in, they do a quick demonstration, they send the data up to the cloud. It all works really well, and I think it's a really good illustration of actually how robust that technology was. And when we did that webinar this week, I did actually get some nice feedback from people who attended. Said, love what you guys do on YouTube, love the content on the website. To be fair, that technology platform is really robust, and I appreciate the comment, because frank, it is really robust. So a derivative of Food Sense Generation 4 is actually Sense It All, and Sense It All sort of says it in the name really, that at ZP we have, well, the underlying science of electrochemistry is really applicable to a lot of applications. We've got techniques called amperometry, potentiometry, voltammetry, open circuit potential, impedance spectroscopy. It's such a plethora of techniques available to us that we can then target different parameters and different analytes using this say platform. So I'm super happy that people have come to the Sense It All platform. I'm super happy that they then give us feedback about it, and I'm super happy that the reason that it seems so applicable is because fundamentally we're benefiting from this really cool underlying science. Now, that underlying science also really solves the problem of minimally viable product. I think there's so much, not minimally viable product, I should say chasm, or the valley of death. So it's well known in academia that, millions of papers per year, very little actual exploitation of those papers necessary in the real world. That's a real shame in the world of electrochemistry, electroanalytical sciences, and electrochemical biosensors, electrochemical sensors, because actually that science is really real world applicable. But very little of it translates. But at ZP, we're actually really quite good at translating that science. And the whole Sense It All platform is part of that. So this idea of the valley of death between academia and commercialization, really, we've actually eliminating that valley of death, because actually it does no longer exist when you've got the Sense It All platform specifically for those electrochemical people. And that's something that we did talk about this week. As part of supporting Food Sense Generation 4, we again did some live demos this week. We talked about the strengths and weaknesses of what's called HPLC, high pressure liquid chromatography. It's expensive. It's not very transparent. It's not evidence. I don't even think it's as accurate as people would otherwise like to believe. So we did all those webinars this week, and then we did a live demonstration measuring a chili powder, which I think was about 78,000 Scoville units, and we also did a measurement of a chili shot, which I think was about 11,000 or maybe 1,000 parts per million. And there was a big difference between 11,000 and 1,000, but I remember the 11 being in there. So we definitely did white live webinars on that. And then in commitment to this kind of, in commitment to people who ask technical questions, and these technical questions are never, simple, these short email answers. We've got another webinar on the 1st of February 2024. I think I could put it this simply. If you really do have technical questions of ZP, reach out to us, put them in, fill in the online forms. They come to us. We slot them in. We tell you when the slot's going to go in, and we do answer them. So, I think that commitment is pretty, we honour that commitment. Just out of interest, something that we've had this inquiry quite a bit over the years is the integration between lateral flow strips and electrochemical sensors. And at ZP, we are very good at that integration. And so we did include that this week in a webinar, and sort of illustrated how that actually could happen, how our technology is compatible with it, and again, how the Sense It All platform could actually turn those into products quite rapidly. I think it's important to, because I want people to adopt our screen printed electrodes, because they're reproducible, they can be made in low cost, and they actually move them along to productization much quicker than they'd otherwise be. And by the way, then, when people do that, we can actually then use our Sense It All platform to actually commercialize them. And I think it was the same for another inquiry this week, which is about ochratoxins. I don't like ochratoxins, it's a problem, but you've got moles associated with mycotoxins. Ochratoxins come under these mycotoxins. I think the word is in the name. They're toxic, and people want to detect it, and you want to detect it in terms of storage conditions and stuff like that. So we did just demonstrate that actually, ochratoxins are intrinsically electrochemically active. You can do it on our screen printed carbon electrodes. You can make a product from it really quickly if you use the Sense It All platform. So I generally hope that we're shifting hearts and minds in the academic community to not think of themselves as researchers, but think of themselves as product designers and product developers. So I will wrap it up there and say, Zimmer Pigot, we like to do this vlog and podcast once a week just to really wrap up on news and do a summary of things that we've said and done during the week. If you have any questions for ZP, I think it's a case of really don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, thanks very much.